anything, you need to target deserts, places that already had water that can have water again. If you're going to test a weather machine that mainly makes rain, snow, etc., your target areas need to be dry areas like deserts. Save them. Make them rainforests again or make them oceans again. That's where your target area should be in your experiments, not other bodies of water to contaminate that. Ain't not love my daughter, but I'ma get it back. That's a what I'm back. I will never regret all the things that I done ran and checked up for. When you give money, take care of your priority. What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another reaction video. Today we going on about the government, about the weather modification technology that they have going on today. This stuff I've been researching for over 10 plus years, going on 15. Yes, 15. There's a lot of other stuff in the mix. It's basically a whole inner circle, outer circle, outer circle, outer circle. Just a big space of knowledge and information, and this is just one little dot on one of those circles, inner ones at that. So let's get into it and subscribe. Make sure you comment. Let's get it. Oh, and one good time y'all told me that y'all could barely hear me. Well, today you probably should still be able to hear me like y'all always do. Just talking a little low because it's time at night. Everybody's starting to lay down. Let's get it.
We're here in Santa Barbara County, home to one of the longest running cloud seeding operations in the country. We've got some ground-based cloud seeding equipment right here, and we're going to get to hear all about how it works and see it in action. Let's check it out.
Okay, so it's my first time actually seeing the actual technology. So it's ran through the ground, and they call it seeding. Like, why call artificial rain or the process of making it seeding? Comment down below if you know the history behind why they named the process that.
Cloud seeding is the most common type of weather modification, and it has many different
what they say?
Of weather modification, and seeding is the most common type of weather modification, and it has many different techniques and applications.
Wow.
Today, it's mostly used to increase rain and snowfall, reduce the size of hail, and reduce fog at airports. Traditionally, cloud seeding has been...
This is supposed to reduce the size of hail and reduce fog. So this is supposed to reduce fog and reduce hail. Like, what's going on? Like, I still seen a big fog storm like just the other morning. And as far as making snow as well, like, you know, they're already playing with it. We supposed to have three already big winter storms that was supposed to come and smack us, but it keeps raining before, in between, or after it. Like, they testing it out to see if they can mess with this, and they are accomplishing it. We're supposed to have some inches now. Ain't nothing out there. Y'all keep on setting us up. Oh, it's gonna be a big storm coming, this and that. Got people going to the grocery store looking stupid with like their head cut off or something. And y'all sitting over here controlling it anyway. Come on, man.
Done from the air. So airplanes have had racks on them where these same flares are positioned on the airplane, and the airplane flies into the storm. So in order to reduce the cost to the client and reduce our carbon footprint, we've been able to station these on the ground. Now, we can do this in places where weather permits.
Behind a barbed wire fence designed to keep away curious cattle, the cloud seeding gear awaits the right kind of weather.
So these are...
So they keep it well protected with a gate. And then it just waits for certain weathers, and then they turn it on. He said something about they equip the planes with flares. And whatever's coming out of these flares, smoke-wise, which we know is chemicals, chemtrails. We've been new about that. Them chemtrails, which we thought would be absorbed into the atmosphere and then, you know, soaked up through the clouds and then rained on us as acid rain and all that stuff. It's bigger than that. This stuff is really set out there and has been doing this since 2000. It's been going on since the year 2000, and that and here we are. It's 2022. It's supposed to be said that by 2025 they'll have full control of the weather. We're only 3 years from that.
Are referred to as AHOGs. That stands for Automated High Output Ground Seating Systems. We've got three primary components of our equipment here. The first is the control module you see behind me. And we have our actual cloud seeding flares. The cameras for security. It also helps us observe weather conditions in real time and make sure that all of the equipment is operating correctly during the storm. Inside these canisters are the flares with the seeding agents. The canisters are used as spark arresters, so they prevent sparks from reaching the ground. We pull off the spark arrestor, you can see the flare inside. The ignition of the flares are controlled from a control module that's behind us.
Hold up. So those same flares that they put on the planes and send them up in the air itself is all on this device that they call seating. And apparently they control it from inside the base, and they just basically press a button and these things shoot off like torpedoes, little missiles. Is that what's going on?
So the white triangle there is a cell service modem, and then the solar panel keeps us powered.
Wow.
Inside we have a battery and then a control board. So the control board.
So this thing is never gonna run out of power. This is sun powered. The sun is powering this machine to control the rain, the snow, the hail, the fog, and what they're not saying, the tornadoes and hurricanes. These are the end times where they said certain things were going to pop up in certain places it's not supposed to be, certain weathers. Then they said we wouldn't know the weather. We wouldn't know the season. This is what we're migrating to. They're controlling tornadoes. We're receiving tornadoes in Maryland, a place that's not even supposed to have them. We're starting to receive them. As far as not knowing the seasons, I'm getting pretty confused. It's starting to jump straight from summer to winter. And it's no fall and no spring. You guys know what I mean. Comment down below. Like, this is ridiculous and it's already getting out of hand. Already getting out of hand.
Interact with the software. We're linked or synced with the software in Utah currently, and that allows us to fire or ignite any of the flares from that remote location.
Because of the lack of clouds and proper wind conditions, today is not a good day for cloud seeding at all. But Garrett and his team are going to light a flare for us anyway, so we can show you how it works.
So they can't do it when it's extreme wind. Okay. So they can't do it in the middle of a tornado, basically.
There's just one small problem. The battery in the control module died shortly before we arrived, but it's nothing a little jump start can't fix. After a little juice from Garrett's truck, it's time to set off the flare.
Wow, they can sit here and power it back up with just a vehicle.
The primary seeding agent in this is silver iodide. Silver iodide is a simple compound. It's polar in nature like water, so there's chemical properties that help attract water molecules to silver iodide. It's also structured molecularly similar to ice. So it helps generate or helps spawn the generation of ice buildup, and then that becomes a hailstone or a snowflake that falls here primarily as rain. So,
oh no, this is not good. Based off of this gas is doing that.
One flare like this has billions and billions of potential sites for that water to congregate around. We'll launch them in sequences. We watch the radar to see when bands of the highest concentration of liquid water are passing above us in the clouds, and we try to target those high concentration pockets in the storm systems. We'll launch between 3 and 20 flares for a typical storm. Once the flare is lit, it takes a little bit of time to carry up into the clouds.
So they release 3 plus every time for a storm. And that smoke is just like, when it's in the atmosphere, it's gonna create a cloud of its own. I mean, look at how the fog around it looks. Like, this is dangerous.
And once it's up at the proper elevation, it'll take about 20 minutes to instigate the rain or the snow process. So overall, you're probably looking at about 40 to 45 minutes.
Look at that.
So overall, you're probably looking at about 40 to 40. At the proper elevation, it'll take about 20 minutes to instigate the rain or the snow process. So overall, you're probably looking at about 40 to 45 minutes.
Like, look at that, y'all. They creating fog. They creating clouds themselves, man. And then he's saying it only takes about 45 minutes. So it could be a perfectly beautiful sunny day. And they can go ahead and shoot their little flares. And next thing you know, it's raining in less than an hour.
Before you're seeing the maximum result. And that's why we're stationed miles away from our target area. So we have very specific targets that drain directly into major water basins. And we time these events correlate with rain above those intended targets.
What?
These questions are most common questions that we receive. We have very specific.
That's even worse now. And the fact that they so comfortable with saying it is just disgusting. So y'all use these flares and shoot it to areas where it's going to be storming over other deposits of water that the earth provides. So you're contaminating the water with your contaminated water that you're making from a laboratory tested flare. Come on, man.
So overall, you're probably looking at about 40 to 45 minutes before you're seeing the maximum result. And that's why we're stationed
what do you say?
5 minutes before you're seeing the maximum result.
Oh, all right.
And that's why we're stationed miles away from our target area. So we have very specific targets.
And then he talking about this position miles away. Like, if like, you know it's harmful. You know something ain't all the way right with it to where you got to be positioned miles away of where you're sending this thing to. And then you're putting it over big bodies. I mean, it's not big body, but it's a big enough body of water to contaminate villages, contaminate those people, get them to start acting different because of their water intake. Like, come on, man.
Targets that drain directly into major water basins, and we time these events to correlate.
I gotta hear that one more
rain
time because he
above
think it's
those
cool.
Targets and that's why we're stationed miles away from our
That's
target
crazy.
area. So we have very specific targets that drain directly into major water basins, and we time these events to correlate with rain above those intended targets. One of the biggest questions.
That's crazy. And see, I talk about stuff like this a lot. And specific people in my life be thinking that I'm crazy, family-wise. And it's just like, here you go. Glad you're watching. This is just one of the many things you guys are going to start seeing. Because I've been on my shit. Been trying to teach this shit. And y'all ain't been listening. So here you go.
These are most common questions that we receive. Relates to the safety of silver.
This is just the beginning
Silver is biologically
of what I'm going to show
it will
you.
not interact in a negative fashion with plant or animal life. Iodine is actually a critical building block of a number of hormones in animals, so it is safe as well. In fact, if you look at table salt or baby
What? It's in animals.
with plant or animal life, relates to the safety of silver iodide. Silver is biologically inert, so it will not interact in a negative fashion with plant or animal life. Iodine is actually a critical building block of a number of hormones in animals, so it is safe as well. In fact, if you look at table salt or baby formula,
It's a chemical building block, right? So look at the big picture of that. He just saying and talking regular like it's all cool. Y'all just like, yeah, okay, cool. No, it's a chemical building block. What does that scream? Red flag for mutations after a while. It's not going to happen the same day. It's not going to happen the same month. It's not going to happen the same year. But some mutations are going to be taking place. It might not even be in our generation. Like, he said it. Rewind.
hormones in animals, so it is safe as well. In fact, if you look at table salt or baby formula, you'll see iodine in its molecular form as an additive in those commonly consumed substances.
But what about other potential adverse effects? Could cloud seeding affect communities outside the targeted areas?
Yes.
Sometimes there is a concern about robbing Peter to pay Paul. So are we benefiting California at the expense of Nevada? And the truth is that storm systems, when they move over off the coastline, only about 10% of that moisture is going to fall in the form of precip. And we're looking at increasing that to about 11% because we have about a 10% increase in the natural storm's productivity. So going from 10% to 11% in California has an insignificant impact on the amount of precip that will still be available in Nevada or Utah.
Built into the program are kind of checks to make sure that we don't come across anything negative. When there are high-intensity storms, we won't seed. If the reservoirs are full, we won't seed. If the rivers are flowing a lot, maybe near flood capacity, we won't seed.
That's unless you're paid off to do it. It's like Hurricane Katrina, okay? If you're paid off and they're like, yeah, this is a big storm coming, we want you to still seed to make it bigger, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. Like, here's a $2.4 million check for you to press that one button right there, right now. I mean, come on, man. Come on. It's really disgusting to me right now because y'all really targeting areas that already have water. If you're trying to make water, how are you going to see any of, if your potency to your thing is really working? If anything, you need to target deserts, places that already had water, that can have water again. If you're going to test a weather machine that mainly makes rain, snow, etc., your target areas need to be dry areas like deserts. Save them. Make them rainforests again, or make them oceans again. That's where your target area should be in your experiments, not other bodies of water to contaminate that. Comment down below. Make sure you subscribe, turn your notification bell on. I got more videos like this on the way. I got more gym videos on the way. Stay tuned. I got you.